custody battle, I guess, with an ex-girlfriend for Knuckles.
Knuckles is my puppy. In a lot of ways, he's like my son.
83% of pet owners now call themselves their pet's mommy or daddy.
His ex says that Knuckles was given to her as a gift and is living a very happy life.
I would tell my future clients and everyone out there 2 words: puppy prenup.
That would be a prenuppy, right? Something like that. This is unbelievable. This guy claims he spent like 60 grand trying to get his dog from his ex, a dog that they shared when they were together. Now they're apart. Unbelievable. Take a look at what he has posted from Indiegogo.com. This guy is now asking for help to get his dog Knuckles back.
Hi, I am asking you to help me rescue Knuckles. Knuckles is my puppy. In a lot of ways, he's like my son. He is absolutely the cutest dog in the entire universe. He has big floppy ears. He snores like an old man. His whole butt wiggles when he wags his tail. He's just so loving and so sweet and warm. He's incredible. The only problem is my ex-girlfriend stole him and moved to California with him. I had to hire 2 private investigators to find her. I know it sounds cool to be working with PIs, but it is not, and it's incredibly costly. And now I went through the courts. Knuckles is my dog in every way imaginable. From him being registered in my name to having paid all of his vet bills and all of his playgroup bills, and to the fact that I just raised him and cared for him. The problem is she's got a really wealthy family that's supporting her. I don't. And she has her attorneys filing frivolous motion after frivolous motion because she knows every time my attorneys respond to it, it's another $5,000. Every time my attorney calls me to tell me about the new motion, it's a couple $100 for a 2-minute phone call. And she can keep doing this forever. She knows it's going to bankrupt me. I don't care about that. I don't care about her. I'm not going to even say her name. I don't want you guys to be mad at her. All I want is to bring Knuckles back home to me. He really is my son. I know that that sounds crazy. I know saying kidnapping sounds crazy. I know even saying dog napping sounds crazy. I know that going to court for your child is crazy, for your puppy, right? I raised Knuckles since he was 2 months old. I fed him, I trained him, I taught him, I loved him, I cared for him. He already came from being like a precocious puppy to being sort of like a cool teenager. I want to see him be an old man. Not just hear him snore like one, but see him be an old man. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there, period. If that means going $50,000, $60,000 into debt, I'm going to do it. So I'm not asking for money to make up what I've already spent. I spent it happily. I'm just asking for money to continue the fight. I'm asking for money to go forward for the next 2 or 3 months of legal fees so I can finalize this, so I can bring Nux back. There's a ton of perks that I'm offering. The reason is I happen to have amazing friends, and I really appreciate it, and I love you guys for it. Luckily, my amazing friends are also amazingly creative and talented. So I have every type of art you can imagine, all with a free Nux theme, all with Rescue Nux on it. Anything I don't have, ask me, I can get it. I will find a way. All I want is to bring Nux home, and I just ask you to help me rescue Nux. Thanks.
All right, he's pulling out all the stops. Now, there's the other side to the story, obviously. In a custody battle like this, this is what his ex is saying tonight. My dog, Knuckles, is incredibly healthy and happy here with me. He's been with me his whole life. Craig gave up his 1/2 ownership when he left my father's home in Massachusetts and unconditionally gifted Knuckles to me. He said he knew Knuckles would be happier in a suburban setting. He wants revenge and is using an innocent dog as his way of harassing me and getting attention at the same time. Seems like a lot of trouble to go to. He may appear to be, but he is not an emotionally or mentally well person. I know. We were together for 4 years. I just want him to leave me alone. It would be cruel to Knuckles and myself to take him away from me to satisfy this man's ego. Wow. Joining me tonight in Denver, family lawyer and criminal defense attorney Sharon Liko. Diana Falzone, relationship expert with HollywoodLifeAndMilitary.com. And in Phoenix, a great attorney, former family law attorney, criminal defense attorney, Dwayne Cates, D.C., joins us. All right, let me start here. Diana, let me ask you first, your impression here. What do you think is really going on on here in this attempt to get Knuckles back? Is it about the relationship and getting the attention of his ex, or is it about getting the love of man's best friend?
It could be all of the above, but I believe that this is more about getting revenge on his ex and staying in touch with her. This is a way to harass his ex by using a love of a dog. So this is very questionable behavior, and I would say that he does seem a little unsound here.
All right, let's get to the lawyers. D.C., let me begin with you. Is there a legal test for custody of a dog? I know for children, it's best interest of the child, right? That's what the courts determine. Is there a similar best interest of the dog test that courts use?
There isn't, Vinny, but you know what? People always want to make it about who can take better care of the dog. You know, in this case, is the dog going to be happier in New York City, or is the dog going to be happier near the beach in California? And that's what they're talking about. But that has nothing to do with ownership of a dog. And dogs are treated by the courts as property. And so it's who bought the dog, who adopted the dog, whose name's on the paperwork, all of that. Now, I know that I believe that the guy's name is on everything, but the girlfriend is claiming that he gifted it to her. So she's going to have to come up with some sort of evidence that there was this gift going on. And I've done these kind of cases in family law. I had dog custody cases where people that had restraining orders against each other had to meet in a Safeway parking lot on every other week and have a third party transfer the dog back and forth. So this kind of stuff goes on.
I understand that people are very passionate about their pets. Sharon, I would like to propose something. I don't know if any court would ever accept it, but you put the plaintiff and defendant, the two exes, on opposite sides of the room. You put Knuckles in the middle, and wherever Knuckles goes, winner take all.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. I mean, it's a good solution. Whoever feeds him the most, he's going to run to them. But, you know, people feel that pets are family, but courts don't. And just like the other attorney said, they are viewed as property. But that being said, if this guy really is the registered owner, he said he paid for him, he's paid the vet bills, he's registered in his name, he should go to the police and file theft charges. I had a situation a few years ago where some girlfriend stole a boyfriend's dog and changed his identity and took him over the Canadian border. He hired the Canadian Mounties, and they found him. And the police department pressed felony charges against her because the pet was over $400.
How do you change a pet's ID? How do you do that? We'll talk more about this, and we're going to take some phone calls and your comments on Twitter and Facebook. My question of the day today is, you know, from your perspective, how far would you go to gain custody of your pet from an ex? 877-TELL-HLN. That clip from MGM's Legally Blonde, and that's what we're talking about tonight. Who gets the dog in the bitter breakup? My question of the day. How far would you go to gain custody of your pet from an ex? My guests are back with me. Let's go to the phone lines tonight. We've got Tina in Florida tonight. Good evening, Tina.
Hey, how are you?
Excellent. How far would you go?
Well, I've actually been in a similar situation about 15 years ago. An ex-boyfriend and I actually went to buy the dog together, but I paid for the dog, and fortunately I got Casey registered in my name. And when we broke up, he actually came over one day when I wasn't there and had the key, and he took the dog. But because I had the paperwork, I called the police, and I was able to get Casey back. $60,000 is a little extreme, but people do consider pets their children. And
absolutely.
I think they should just get a dog whisperer and ask Knuckles who he wants to go with.
Tina, thanks for the call. Marianne is in Maine tonight. Good evening, Marianne.
Good evening, Vinny. Actually, mine was a cat, and when I got divorced, I had a stipulation that if my partner was unable to take care of it, that I was the first in line because it was in his name. But I completely understand. They're kind of like children to us.
Absolutely, Marianne. Thanks so much. Hey, Sharon Liko, what do you think? Should people consider this? I mean, if you know, beforehand? I mean, because, you know, usually you get the dog together, you know, something romantic you do, or you get the kitty, or you get the little puppy together. Should they be thinking down the road at all?
Well, as a divorce lawyer, I think when you get married or form a relationship that you're going to live together, you probably need to have the end in mind, because 50% of the relationships will fail. So having a puppy prenuptial probably is a good idea. But I've seen people resolve these. People have joint custody of the dog, and they'll split the vet bills, they'll split the food, they transition the dog, you know, on weekends, or I've seen dogs go back and forth with the kids. Whoever has the kids gets the dog.
Well, that I understand. That makes a lot of sense to me. If you put children in the equation, have the dog follow the children, that makes a lot of sense. Dwayne, how much money and this guy says he spent 60 grand already. He's trying to raise money. He's raised like 3,100 bucks with his website. I mean, how much should it cost in a battle over a dog?
Well, anytime you get into litigation, I mean, one of the strategies that some people use is try to run the other side out of money. So if she's got a wealthy family backing her and they've got unlimited funds, they can make it expensive. I mean, you can file motions, you know, to punish the other side for excessive litigation. You know, you can do that, but unfortunately, when you're in civil litigation, it costs what it costs.
Diana Falzone, I don't know if you're aware, but there have been some celebrity battles for pets as well. Britney Spears and Kevin Federline fought over custody of dogs after Spears lost custody of the kids in 2007. PETA was urging Spears to give up custody of the dogs. This one's really interesting. Jennifer Love Hewitt, according to the New York Daily News, got into a bitter custody dispute over her dog Mona with her ex-fiancé. And newspaper reports Jennifer tried changing the dog's name so it wouldn't come when her ex called the dog. I like that strategy, Diana. How about that?
Wow. I think that's a terrible strategy, and I do believe that there should be something called prenuptial agreements where you can make sure that you have a plan in place. And honestly, with this poor guy, make a clean break. I hate to say it. I know he loves the dog, but maybe get a new puppy and start fresh. I think he's holding on to old memories. I'm going to sound heartless, but it might help him heal.
You think it's time for him to move on?
I do.
Well, here's what Drew Barrymore, this was a bitter one too, fought for custody of a yellow lab named Flossie with her ex-comedian Tom Green. She won. If you recall, it was Flossie's barking that saved the couple's lives in 1998 when their home caught fire. Jill is in Kentucky tonight. Good evening, Jill.
Hi, how are you, Vinny?
Excellent. So, how far would you go, Jill?
Oh, I would go to the ends of the earth for my baby boy. I've had him since newborn. We got him from well, she's not a friend. We know her. She's an acquaintance, and she was treating him bad, and she gave him to us. I mean, he was just a newborn pup, and I've taught him like 51 tricks, and he thinks that he's human. I know you've probably heard that before, but he really thinks he's human. He bosses us around, and I would do anything for him, and I would go anywhere if someone would ever try to take him from me. He's my baby boy.
Jill, thanks so much for the call. Give your puppy a nice hug tonight for all of us. And that's, you know, people feel very passionate about their pets, and it's an important part for a lot of people's lives. Well, Sharon, Dwayne, and Diana, appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much. And folks, if you're out there, you got a dog, think about what's in the best interest of the puppy. Put your feelings aside for just a moment. All right, time to bring in